eBay Motors and Fox Racing welcome you to episode 54 of The Lowdown Show. I'm Neil Graham. In this episode, I speak to Andy and Elsa, the couple behind the website madornomad.com. In addition to being a chronicle of their journeys, their site is an invaluable resource for those considering heading out into the wilds of the world. But before we take the leap, a word from those who make The Lowdown possible. Picture this, you're halfway through a DIY motorcycle fix, tools scattered everywhere, and boom, you realize you're missing a part. Well, it's okay because you know whatever it is, it's on eBay. They've got everything. Brake rotors, lights, and tire exhaust systems, whatever you need. And it's guaranteed to fit, which means no more crossing your fingers hoping you ordered the right thing. All the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. In over 50 years of connecting riders to dirt, Fox Racing has learned that the best gear always has a discernible purpose and a strong point of view. The Ranger, Defend, and Recon Adventure Collection takes a minimalist approach to product design with a clear mission of providing everything you need in adventure-ready gear and absolutely nothing you don't need. Minimalist chassis, fully seam-sealed with Gore-Tex waterproofing and D30 CE level protection across the board. This gear is every bit as pure as the adventure you're chasing. Tell me what happened when you guys arrived in British Columbia. You were going to ride to Alaska, but something happened and you didn't. Tell me that story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a long time.
That's
What happened back then? Well, we shipped to Vancouver. What we should have done was ship to Anchorage, I think, because we're on small little CRF 300Ls. We started heading north, and then we quickly got bored because it's very long and very straight. Right?
Very long, very straight, and our bikes are a bit too small for the overtaking trucks.
Yeah.
So I
think we just lost interest.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because it's just really long and really straight, and decided to. But we went to as far as Salmon Glacier.
Salmon Glacier, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was really
the
cool.
Mosquitoes were gigantic.
Yeah.
And then we heard that the mosquitoes got even worse the further up you go, and we thought, oh well, this is not fun.
Yeah, and it's just a long straight line. So I know it's an important thing for a lot of Americans and Canadians, but we saw Vancouver Island on the map and we thought, oh, that looks a little bit of fun. So we just got the bike over there instead, I guess.
No regrets.
No regrets, no.
Yeah, Vancouver Island is lovely. I think the reason I started with this question is, and I am not a huge traveler by motorcycle. I tend to go in short circles, road racing. But here's one of the questions I always am curious about is, how do you deal with the boredom of just shitty roads? If you're on a road and it's long and straight, and as you said, you guys are riding, Honda 300Ls, CRF 300Ls. I mean, how do you deal with that? Is that just part of the deal?
I think that's an easy question to answer. If we're on a long, straight, boring road, then we're doing something wrong, which is what we kind of felt like then. We're on a long, straight, boring road. We're not having fun, so let's get off it and go to Vancouver Island. So it's not usually something we ever really have to.
Yeah, we're very, very rarely on long straights.
Very rarely, yeah.
We try and find all the little nooks and crannies, but
yeah,
I think our timing was bad as well. Like we underestimated how big that journey was as well. So being able to get there on little roads became too difficult in the season that we wanted to arrive in. So I think that became a challenge. But when we do get a long and straight stretch of road, we tend to listen to a podcast, put our music on.
Your podcast.
Or listen to Andy whistling in my ear.
Yeah. But we really try and avoid them as much as possible. It's really rare.
The Lowdown Show is presented by adbrider.com and supported by ebaymotors.com. How did you come up with 300s as the answer? Take me through that process.
Well, that's a good question. I really like single cylinder bikes. Previous travel bike was an XT660. And I think, like I said earlier, we don't enjoy long highways. So for us, that balance wasn't so important because we're very, very rarely ever on a highway. Rarely on a long straight road. We don't really enjoy that, and we enjoy off-road. We enjoy finding, because you can find all these cool little places that are way off the map, and that's more important for us. So it was kind of a no-brainer.
Sort of ruled out all the big bikes.
Yeah, ruled out like 90% of the class, and that left us with the 300s.
And you never wanted something larger or more highway capable for those stretches, or
Oh God, yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, at least you're being honest with me.
Yeah, like for example, when we were going up to, we would have made it up there probably if we had a bigger bike, but we prefer, but that would have been a long straight. No matter what bike you've got, yeah, you'd get there faster, but it would have been a long straight, and we prefer like exploring all of the little nooks and crannies in Vancouver Island, and then riding, like for us, we're living with these, we're short people. We don't want a big heavy bike. Everything's super light. We enjoy finding all these little places, and we're living on these bikes every day. Not just like a short trip. We're not just going for a few months and then we're coming home. We're with these bikes every day. We have to wheel them in and out of houses, through front doors, onto little wooden canoes. We're turning them around in the mud and like dropping them all the time. And I think
you are.
Yeah, I am. I'm crashing mine all the time. So I think it just, for our lifestyle, a bigger bike wouldn't work. When we like taking it really easy. We're very slow travelers. We ride maximum like 200 kilometers a day. So we don't need a big bike, because the day will be over in a second, and we wouldn't be able to take it anywhere we want to go. It would be a lot of harder work on a bigger bike.
And cost as well.
Cost.
Finding two big bikes and financing two big bikes, and then all of the worry of, well, what if it does get stolen? And then you've got to try and replace a really big, expensive bike.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So that also came into the equation when we were, Andy was looking into that.
Because you're never going to get insurance to cover you worldwide for a motorcycle theft. Like, you'll get insurance when you go to each new country. Like, you go to Mongolia, you'll get insurance to Mongolian insurance, third-party insurance, but it's never going to cover your bike. If you've got a big 15 grand bike and it gets stolen, then that's the end of that. And also we need carnets, and if you get a carnet de passage and the carnet company needs 150% of the value of your vehicle in order to give you a carnet, like how can you afford that?
Especially when you've got two, and it's very very
so
expensive.
Budget, ease of use. They're a lot more fun for us, a lot more manageable. We're a lot more confident on them. We can get more out of them. We'd probably get like 80% of what the bike can give us, like really going for it. While if we were on a really big bike, we'd probably be getting like 20% of what we can even get out of it, with all our gear and stuff on and traveling. Hopefully that makes sense.
This is what you wrote on your website. You wrote that you left home on the 1st of January, 2018 to ride around the world. And then you used the word indefinitely. So what precipitated this desire to leave? What were you doing? Where were you professionally or personally or both at the point at which you decided we're going?
Oh, a question.
That's a good question. I think I'll start. I think it was a long time coming. It wasn't something we just woke up one day and was like, that's it, next month we're going. It was a long-term plan of an adventure that we wanted to start when we were teenagers. And so I think it sort of became gradual, didn't it? And then the planning phase happened, and then the jobs that we were in, well, Andy in particular I'll let you answer for that. I worked for Motorcycle News, so I used to write features on bikes as well. So I was also traveling on bikes quite a lot during my work, but and at least was in finance. I was in finance, yeah.
But we'd both traveled since we were like 15, 16. We'd started traveling, and we've traveled with backpacks. We've done big hitchhiking trips. We've taken a car and driven around Europe for 6 months or whatever. We've traveled lots of different ways. And then as soon as we were old enough to get our motorbike licenses, we got those, and we did trips on bikes, and bigger trips, and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we realized that was for us the best way to travel. So I think for a really long time we've been, like Elisa said, gearing up for this trip. It was
So
always
every time we came home, it was like, oh, this is really pants. Why have we come home? I don't want to be back home. I don't want to be doing this 9 to 5 job. I don't want to be doing, and then going away for a few weeks at a time and then having to go back. It was like, how can we make this work so that we live and travel? Like, let's work a plan together.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how it came about, really.
Yeah. And then we just like focused on making that happen, I guess.
So how do you make it work? I mean, you gave me a perfect segue. How do you manage the finances of being perpetually on the road?
Yeah, good question. A lot of people ask that.
Yeah, we worked really, really hard for a few years. We worked hard for years, and we managed to save up to buy a house, which we rent out, and that covers I say covers it. It helps pay for like the day to day, and then I write some articles for magazines, and Lisa takes some photographs, and the two combined helps us like tick over. You know, we don't live a luxurious lifestyle on the road. We live in a tent and we eat noodles and rice and tuna every day. You know, it's enough for us to get by, if that makes sense.
Does it ever become wearing, being perpetually on the road, or is it an addiction of sorts?
It does become wearing. We do need to have a break. I think it's not a holiday. It is tough, and moving from A to B and having to plan A to B and decide where you're staying every night and work out the finance for that and things like that. It does become challenging. So we do just take some time out. If we find a nice place we like, let's just stay here for a couple of weeks. Let's recharge. Let's catch up on Netflix. Let's do things like that, just relax for a bit. It's certainly no holiday, but we do enjoy that lifestyle. We do enjoy being on the move, don't we? We do enjoy that style.
Yeah, we like always being on the move, but we, like Elise said, we do take time out. If we're feeling a little bit burnt out, we'll take a few days. We try and take like a day or two off. We try and ride 2 days, 3 days, and then we have a day or two. We always have like a week off every so often. We just take a week out and like live somewhere and see what it's like to be there. And if we get really, really burned out, then we'll just take 3 weeks. We'll just get an Airbnb and we'll just take it easy. Yeah. So like it's the same like normal life would have been back home. You'd get tired of normal life. You get tired of this life, I guess.
Now, your website, you have a lot of sort of helpful information for other people who would be thinking of doing the sort of traveling that you do. Now, is this purely altruistic? Because it says right there, there's no cost, it's free, and there's a lot of information there. Is that just this old-fashioned notion of giving it back, or what motivated that?
Pretty much. I enjoy writing. I'm a writer. I enjoy writing. It's quite therapeutic for me. It doesn't feel like work writing it for the website. And it's really fun. It's like my hobby. It's a passion project. It's a labor of love. It does take a lot of time, but some people do YouTube, some people do social media, and we have a website. Websites can't compete these days with like YouTube. It's not in the same category. It's my hobby. It's for fun. I enjoy it, and I hope people read it and find it helpful. And
it's nice if people are finding it helpful. It's nice that we're able to give back, and
a lot of people have helped us over the years as well.
So much help, yeah.
Like give us it's a real community. Like we badger people all the time. Like, oh, you've just gone through this country. Tell us what you needed for paperwork, and we'll ask that information, and people help us, and we collect it and we put it on there as well. So it is like a way of giving back, and helping.
I've spoken to some travelers who traveled before the advent of the internet, and they talk about the difference that what it was like traveling in the 80s, say, or the 90s. And without this sort of pressure to have an Instagram presence or YouTube videos. And of course, some of them are incredible. I don't know how people travel and have a drone and edit this stuff when they're on the road. To me, because that just seems like work. But is there pressure? Do you feel that pressure to have to, either to A, monetize it, or B, just to do it? Or do you want to, do you ever have this urge to I'm just going to experience and I'm not going to share? Where do you stand on that?
We feel like we do that. We feel like we're very much taking these pictures for ourselves and for our memories. We just happen to be posting about it or sharing the information. Not once have we ever felt like, oh, we've got to do a Facebook post and we've got to take a picture for this or take a picture for that or go and see this because we need it for our website. We only ever do things and photograph things and video things that we're wanting to do for ourselves. And that was something we set out right from day one. We said, as soon as this becomes a job, it's become something it wasn't supposed to be. It was always supposed to be a trip for us to enjoy and to experience and to see all these different cultures and countries. For us, not to publicize it or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah, that's
good.
Bang on. Yeah, it's not about social media. We don't monetize. We don't know how to monetize social media. We don't do YouTube. We did. Well, I say we don't do YouTube. When we started a long time ago, we made like 3 or 4 videos. We have a YouTube channel with like 4 videos on it, and that just took like so long. No, it's not for us.
But it was for us though. The videos were for.
Yes.
We did them for ourselves. Yeah. We didn't do them for an audience.
But making the videos, I mean, like,
that was hard.
Yeah, it's not for us. We didn't want to do that. So we don't feel that pressure to do social media in that way. Although we know a lot of people who do, and know a lot of people who do feel that pressure to do it. But I think a lot of people unfortunately get really hung up on it. Like they see social media and they think that's what a trip needs to be like. That's the gear I need to wear. This is the sort of riding I need to do. That's the bike I need. And it's a real shame. And
sometimes the posts and things we see of places to go, and you're like, it doesn't look anything like that. It's a real shame. We hope that in our pictures and videos we were able to capture what it's really like. And sometimes those landscapes are absolutely phenomenal, and I can't believe this is in this world. It's so amazing, this landscape. But we are really surprised at the amount of stuff we see online. It's like, we've been there, and that's not what it looks like.
So Instagram versus reality kind of thing.
Let's take a short break for a few words from our sponsors. Picture this: you're in the garage, your favorite room in the house, and you're tuning up your engine with parts that you found on eBay. Every piece is just locking perfectly into place. You step back to admire your work, hands covered in grease. And because you're committed to riding that thing further than the odometer can even handle, you start thinking to yourself, do you know what? I could probably also use some new brakes, maybe a shock. This baby, well, it deserves a new air filter. So you head straight back to eBay. You can find any part you need there. It's unreal. From headlights to air filters to exhaust systems, all the way to those carbon fiber rims you've had in your mind. eBay is the stocked garage of your dreams. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit, because eBay knows DIY fixes can be major and mods, well, they're always intense. So you need to know those parts are guaranteed to fit every time before you dive in wrench first. And on the off chance you order a part and it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. You know what you love more than your bike itself, and that is, of course, riding it. You're serious when it comes to engine maintenance and locked in when you're headed into a build. And that's exactly why you start with eBay. Minor fix or complete overhaul. You want to get your ride back on the road, and you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. So eBay created My Garage, where all you have to do is add your ride's info to get the exact parts that fit. When you see the green check, you're a click away from that part clicking perfectly into place. Well, now that you know all this, just imagine standing at that open garage door, looking at the bike you love more than anything, knowing that anything is possible, whether it's keeping it on the road forever or turning it into something that's never been on the road before. Because with eBay, your garage just got a whole lot bigger. Get all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. In over 50 years of connecting riders to dirt, Fox Racing has learned that the best gear always has a discernible purpose and a strong point of view. The Ranger, Defend, and Recon Adventure Collection takes a minimalist approach to product design, with a clear mission of providing everything you need in adventure-ready gear and absolutely nothing you don't need. Minimalist chassis, fully seam sealed with Gore-Tex waterproofing and D30 CE level protection across the board. This gear is every bit as pure as the adventure you're chasing. Now back to my conversation with Andy and Ailsa. The Lowdown Show is presented by adbrider.com and supported by ebaymotors.com. So because you've seen so much of the world that a lot of us haven't seen, are there some places that perhaps each of you could go individually, some places that have really resonated with you, either through the beauty or the people or the culture? Is there anything that really stands out to you?
Good question.
Oh gosh,
Well,
it's hard.
Yeah, because there's so many amazing places, and they're all amazing for different reasons. Like some are the people we meet, some are like quite often now. I think we remember the people that we meet over the places we ride. Like I guess if you're talking about specifically riding routes, where would you say?
Well, not necessarily, but I mean, it can be. It could be anything, really.
Okay.
I think I could
just
list,
go on about every country. Yeah.
I don't think there's one particular.
Or just some highlights, not necessarily, not the ultimate ranking for second, third, but just some places that,
Sure.
for whatever reason, have resonated.
So Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, they were countries that I'd never even heard of before I left the UK. And they were phenomenal. Riding wise, they were real adventure countries where it was just so total surprise and not what I was expecting, I guess.
Yeah, it's like riding. It's the roof of the world there. Central Asia is probably one of the best places to ride a motorcycle in the world. So for us, riding wise, that was really special.
Yeah.
The culture there was really interesting too.
Yeah, really interesting.
Surprising wise, when you're talking about like surprising, I guess Afghanistan was very surprising. We were only there a while, but the people there were really friendly towards us, very, very welcoming.
Yeah.
Colombia as well. A lot of people seemed quite put off by Colombia, but it's actually one of our, probably actually is our favorite country.
Yeah.
We're not sure where we ever want to live one day, or if we ever will settle down. But if we had to pick one country, we'd live in Colombia.
Yeah, for sure. We really liked it.
Well, why Colombia?
It's so much packed into one small, cool little country. People are mega friendly. All these beautiful little towns in the hills and the mountains, and
it's so colourful and really well looked after by the community, and that's really nice to arrive in a town that's really beautifully painted and decorated and everything. They look
after it, they take pride in it, and they're proud of their country, and they want you to come and visit. And riding there is amazing too, and although the food in Mexico is a million times.
The food in Mexico was so good. And in Turkey, the food in Turkey.
Oh yeah, maybe Turkey too. Portugal also has pretty good food.
So it depends where your heart is, I guess.
Yeah.
I do like to follow my stomach sometimes.
Yeah, that's very important.
I think I'm going to end up in a country that has cheap ceviche. I think that's my goal. And I remember traveling in Peru, going to those cevicherias, and then coming back, to Canada, and you order ceviche and it's $32 and it's that much, it's like,
$32.
That doesn't work. So you have, I presume both of you had family back home in the UK, and what does your family think of all of this? Do they think you are insane, or have they grown to sort of accept it?
We've been traveling a long time. Before this trip, we've been traveling a lot, so I think they know that that's what we do. My family were quite fine with it. They probably don't even know where I am right now. Where I was.
Yeah, I mean, I think they never really thought it was ever going to happen. I think because we've been speaking about it for so long, we're like, no, we're going to do this now. I don't think anyone ever thought it was really happening. And then we've had a few hurdles along the way. And every time we've had a hurdle, they're like, oh, they're going to come back now. And that's it now. We're like, no, we're not coming back. We're going to keep going. We're going to push through and just keep going until we don't want to do it anymore. And I mean, we're so lucky now with we've been able to communicate online and make phone calls and video calls and things like that. So we're so lucky that we're able to have that communication on a daily basis if we want it, which is nice. Although it is tough. We have gone home to visit family a few times, and that is tough. That's something that I struggle with a bit more when you go home and you see your friends and family and you've been away for a period of time. Everything is very different, and that is something that's, for me, I found a bit more challenging. But they're so supportive, and they want us to keep going. And when things do happen at home, they want us to continue doing what we want to do. And I guess we're so grateful for that. We're so grateful that they're so supportive. And perhaps they don't quite get it all the time.
Well, you made reference to having some hurdles, and if you don't mind sharing, what are the kinds of hurdles that you run into? Because I just think of, I mean, all of us have, medical issues that arise and tests we need and MRIs and all this sort of stuff to deal with various ailments. And because you're sort of perpetually on the move, how do you deal with things as basic as healthcare?
So,
well, the first thing was COVID. COVID was the first hurdle. We were in Thailand and we waited it out for 6 months, obviously thinking that it might blow over. That was and then our visas ran out and they weren't extending our temporary import on our bike, so we had to leave the bike and leave the country. So we had to go home. That's the first hurdle. And the second was.
So I guess you just have to take each hurdle as it comes. And because we don't have a goal and we're not trying to complete any mission or anything like that, I think you just have to take each hurdle as it comes. And I had an accident along the way, which was really, it was a bummer, but you just deal with that at the time. We had to leave our bikes, we go home, you recover for a period of time. When you're ready, you continue. And I think for us, that because we don't have any of these goals and we don't have any of these pressures that we put on ourselves to be anywhere by certain periods of time, or no pressure to try and get to a point within a time period and tick off all these boxes. We don't put that added pressure. So when a hurdle does come about, we just deal with that, I guess.
Yeah, and this is right. I think nowadays there's a lot of labels out there, like I'm circumnavigating there, I'm riding from here to there, I'm doing this thing, or I'm riding around the world. Like, we don't have anything like that. We're just riding and having fun as we go. So we can just take each hurdle or challenge, etc., as it comes, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
And things do happen, and it's so you can't predict that.
A dozen years ago, I edited a motorcycle magazine, and it seemed like once a month I would get a call. And they would always go this way. So they'd always say, "You're never going to guess what I'm doing." And I would say, "You're riding around the world?" And they go, "How'd you know?" So it really went from this niche thing. There were a handful of people that anyone heard of who did this, and then all of a sudden, it seemed like there were a lot of people doing some sort of extended, travel. And of course, now if you go to Instagram, I came across a guy the other day who'd lost his leg in an accident, and then who continued on once he healed up.
Wow.
So it really is. It seems, at least the perception is, from my point of view, that there's a lot of people doing it. But what is the perception on the road? Do you ever bump into people that are doing the same thing that you are?
Yeah.
Often.
Quite often, yeah. But everyone's doing their own trip. Everyone's got their own thing. Some people are riding around the world, and some people are doing a short trip. Some people have a month to do a big trip. Some people have 1 month to do something that we'd do in 6 months, or maybe we're whacking through somewhere in a month that they've just taken 2 years to ride. We do meet a lot of people though, but not as much in the Americas as we thought we would. We met a lot more people in Central Asia and places like that, because the road, there's far fewer options for roads, so they can sort of bottleneck a little bit. Here we can both be going down 2 different streets and miss each other. So That was something that was really nice about Central Asia, that you'd meet a lot of like-minded people out there, and people doing really amazing things. We've met some really inspiring, crazy people. And interestingly, a lot of really, really experienced travelers who have been going a really long time, they don't have any social media, anything like that, and they're just sort of flying under the
radar a little bit. Yeah,
like we met an American girl maybe like a month ago, and it was on a very difficult pass in Argentina, and the wind was exceptionally bad, and she had left her bike because the wind was really bad. Like she made the right decision. She abandoned her bike, hitchhiked back to town. We made it into town just about. It was really bad, and we were like, oh, it's because we recognized she had a helmet, and motorcycle travelers attract one another, don't they? You instantly recognize them because we're always so dirty. And like, oh, is that your bike? And we got chatting to her, and she's quite a young girl, probably late 20s, early 30s. Just flew to Chile, bought a motorcycle, has been riding up and down Chile, Peru, Bolivia for 2 years. No social media, no way of contacting her. The only people lucky enough to speak to her are the ones that get to know her. And you just meet people,
bump into her on the road.
Yeah, you just meet people like that who are just out there doing really crazy things. And like she was a solo, just on her own, just doing it. And it's really impressive. You meet some really cool people out there. And
like she obviously had a hurdle that day, so that was it. That happens, and she wasn't able to continue her journey and stopped, and we had tea together. It was nice.
She hitchhiked back the next. You had to wait another day, like for the wind to come down, and carried on. So
I sometimes think that in our modern culture, where we're so coddled, that we lose sense of a sort of the visceral nature of life. And I think sometimes that I love it when my motorcycle breaks down, because it seems like all of a sudden I'm prompted into this, all the synapses are firing. It's like, how am I going to get out of this? What am I going to do? Do I go and get help? Do I hitchhike? It seems like it kind of brings out the best in us when our sort of backs are against the wall. Yeah. Do you guys, I see you smiling, Andy. Have you had those experiences where you just, it's just, and later maybe looking back, you're surprised at your resourcefulness, getting out of certain situations?
What about the other day with the petrol?
Yeah, I think so.
It pisses you off at the time. You think, oh, Jesus, I wish this didn't happen. But looking back, you think, wow, actually maybe learned something about myself in that.
Yeah, there's been plenty of times where we've had to strap parts back together and hobble our way through. It's not as scary as it once was when you like breaking down. I think because in the first few years we broke down so much, like we had so many problems, and our suspension would just just destroyed itself in Tajikistan, and then Elisa had to jump on a friend's bike who we met, and we managed to make it to Kyrgyzstan, and by then my subframe had snapped, so we had to weld it back together, and then the exhaust blew out, so then we had to try and find a welder to do that. And after a while, all the worries and the fears of like all these breakdowns and problems sort of dissipate, and you don't worry about them anymore, because you know that it's gonna get fixed one way or another, and it almost becomes kind of fun when that happens, right?
Yeah, like a little challenge.
That's exactly that was the point I was trying to get at, which is that sometimes we are amazed at our own resourcefulness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's people help. Like people, if you're broken down, no matter where you are in the world, someone's going to come along, and someone's going to help you out eventually. Like we if you have time, I'll tell you one quick story. When we were in we crossed the border from Mongolia to Russia, and we only managed to get a transit visa, which means you have to ride, is it like 4,000 kilometers or something through Siberia to Vladivostok, and then we had to be on a boat and then on our way to Japan within 10 days. That gave us 8 days riding. So we woke up really early at the border in the morning, and we had a flat tire. First flat since leaving home, and it was that day. And you can't.
Kidding, wow.
Yeah, you can't move on your transit visa. You have to enter when it says you enter. So that whole day just went us trying to find a spare tube. And then as we went, our bike, because it was so battered by this point, and we got our transit visa a month before in Kazakhstan, so we couldn't delay it. We didn't have time to repair the bike. And as we traveled this 4,000 kilometers, our bike just broke down every day. It got worse and worse. And a lot of people had said to us, like, oh, you need to be careful about this part of Russia. There's, Russians. Be careful, watch out. And the amount of people, we randomly ended up in some village, and it was late at night, and all the hotels were booked up by truckers. And there was a little blue neon sign on like a big shed of a motorbike, and we knocked on the door, all cold and wet, and help. And there's a bunch of Russian. It was like a Russian biker group. Sorry, not a gang. And they pulled us in, and we had vodka till the early hours and fish, and then they arranged for Russian bikers, to just meet us along the way. So as we were riding, we'd be breaking down, but there'd be like a Russian on like a chopper, just like flagging us down. He had like a bag of food and a bag of tools, and then he'd repair us, and then go. You get to the next Russian biker on the hard shoulder. Yeah, it's just part of the fun, really.
Yeah.
So.
And you get through it, and I think we're quite positive. We're quite positive.
Try to be, yeah.
But
you're very positive.
I like to stay positive. So there's going to be a way that this gets fixed. Doesn't matter. We'll get through it. Doesn't matter what happens or what goes wrong. There'll be plan B, C, D, E, but we never get to any of them. Yeah. Just to play it by ear and see what happens.
It has taken a while to be that comfortable.
Relaxed,
yeah. It's not at the beginning. It's worries like, oh no, this is what are we gonna do? This is ruined. Like we're not gonna be able to get here by then. But over time, you just relax into it, and it's just the way of it. And if it goes really bad, then we'll get out our little stove and we'll make a tea and a coffee, and we just wait for a truck or someone to come by that can help us out.
Yeah.
And or we'll strap it together and push it to the next town. Nothing's ever as big a deal as you think it might be, or as some people make it out to be.
Where are you guys right now, and where have you just been?
We're in Buenos Aires.
Yes.
And we've just ridden down to Ushuaia and ridden up to here, and we're shipping our motorcycles to Africa.
Buenos Aires. I hope you get out and see some tango. Is there still tango in Buenos Aires? I don't know. Is there still a tango scene?
I think so.
Maybe, but not for us.
I think we just relax and put our feet up for a bit.
We're pretty beat. We're pretty tired. It's been a long.
Oh, come on! You're never going to be. Are you going to be back in Buenos Aires? You got to go for the tango.
I
love the music of. I love the music of Astor Piazzolla, and he's kind of the king of the tango. So, anyway, I guess maybe I'll just have to go and do it myself. Can't trust you guys to do it.
Check it out.
Yeah, come on to Buenos
Aires. So to Africa, and then where's the next, say, couple of months for you? What's your rough itinerary?
Africa.
So we think probably the next couple of months we'll finish off here. We're going to do some backpacking around Brazil
while our bikes are being transported to Africa.
Yeah, we decided that maybe backpacking around there would be better, and send the bikes off and do that. It'd be easier for us. And we've got some friends that wanted to join us, so we thought, that's the best solution. And then we're going to try and do South Africa, Namibia, and Angola.
Yeah, we'll go up to Angola, and then we'll loop back round and go up the east coast.
It's a bit of a mess at the moment because we can't quite work out the seasons and where to go at what time of year, and whether we can manage it with the mud and the rain. So it's a bit of a mess, but it's going to be that sort of area.
We'll figure it out then. We'll figure it out when we get to Africa. We'll see what's like. But we'll head up to Kenya, and then I think from Kenya we go over to the Middle East, back to the Middle East, and then ride through there, and then I guess there's Europe.
What happens next, I guess.
Yeah. See how it goes.
I mean, you bring up some interesting points, which is weather and seasons and rainy seasons, and you certainly don't want to get stuck in my country in January. Is there a lot of work, I would think, to sort of figure that kind of stuff out? Because as you know, if you're somewhere in the rainy season and you're on dirt roads, it can be nearly impassable. How much effort goes in to the logistics of perpetual movement?
A fair bit, to be honest. That is one thing that we try and that sort of decides how much time we spend everywhere, doesn't it? If we look at our seasons and see whether we can pass those seasons in their worst season, and if you can't, like Namibia, we can't do that in the rainy season, or Zambia, then we have to try and make sure we're not in those countries for those periods, which becomes a bit challenging, because if you want to wait it out, you've got to make sure your visa is long enough for the country that you're currently in, or the country that you're going to next. So sometimes that becomes a bit of a headache.
Yeah, it can be tricky, but there are some really good Facebook groups out there. There are WhatsApp groups. And then once you start in a certain region, like we're in South America, for example, you'll all of a sudden just connect with loads of different travelers who are traveling through South America. And then you all of a sudden have your own little mini community, and you ask people who are ahead of you, and people will be asking you who are behind you. And it's not, there is a bit of work involved, but it's not as difficult as it used to be.
The Lowdown Show is presented by advrider.com and supported by ebaymotors.com. Do you think at some point you will have had your fill and you'll settle down in Colombia and raise chickens, or do you kind of think that this wanderlust will just always be a part of you?
Yeah, we're getting old now. We were just kids when we left, I think.
I think not yet, but I think in the future we'll be ready to do it maybe differently.
Yeah.
This brings us back to, we were talking about the seasons and the weather. I think we're ready to spend more time in each country and not have the worry of our temporary import only lasts 90 days, and therefore we can only stay there for 90 days on our bike, and therefore the next country is out of season. So I think we're ready now to, perhaps not now, but in the future, to do it differently. Maybe rent or buy bikes in one country and just explore that country, or that country and its neighbouring countries in more depth and detail, and do a bit more like that, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Once we finish this trip and we're happy with what we've done, then we'll move to doing it like that. We'll know the countries that we like the most and we enjoy the most, and the regions that are best suited for us, and then we can go there and really explore them for a good amount of time without having to worry about all the other stuff that comes with it, all the paperwork and logistics and shipping and stuff. I think that's how we'll do it next, I think.
We'll see.
See how it goes. We're day by day.
We're definitely not ready to finish yet.
In closing words from eBay Motors, picture this: you're halfway through a DIY motorcycle fix, tools scattered everywhere, and boom, you realize you're missing a part. Well, it's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay. They've got everything: brake rotors, lights and tire exhaust systems, whatever you need. And it's guaranteed to fit, which means no more crossing your fingers and hoping you ordered the right thing. All the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Thank you for listening to The Lowdown Show.